The morning I was called into the conference room, I thought it was just another routine meeting, the kind where managers talk about targets and deadlines. Instead, my boss avoided eye contact, slid a thin folder across the table, and said the company had to cut costs. 8 years of loyalty, overtime weekends, missed family dinners, and solving problems no one else could fix were reduced to one sentence. My position was no longer necessary. Around the table, my coworkers stared at their laptops, pretending not to hear. No one spoke for me. No one even looked up when I packed my desk into a small cardboard box and walked past the glass doors for the last time. I stepped outside with a forced smile, but inside something broke, and something else quietly ignited. For years, I had believed hard work guaranteed security. I was always the first to arrive and the last to leave. I trained new hires, fixed system failures, and stayed calm when clients exploded with complaints. My performance reviews were flawless. Yet the day the company needed to save money, I was the easiest expense to erase. Later, I learned my responsibilities had been divided among 2 junior employees at half my salary. It wasn't about performance, it was about numbers. Standing in the parking lot that day, I realized the company I had treated like family had never seen me as more than a line item. Before we go further, think about this for a moment. Have you ever given everything to a job, a relationship, or a dream, only to be told you were replaceable? If you've ever felt overlooked or treated unfairly, you'll understand exactly what this moment felt like. And if you've ever wondered whether setbacks can become turning points, stay with me, because what happened next changed the course of my life. The weeks that followed were heavier than I expected. I sent out dozens of applications and heard nothing back. Recruiters promised to call and never did. My savings began shrinking, and so did my confidence. Each morning I woke with a tight knot in my chest, wondering how long I could hold things together. Friends suggested I lower my expectations. One relative even said, maybe this is a sign to settle for something smaller. But deep down, I knew my story couldn't end with a termination letter. After months of rejection, I accepted a low-paying position at a small, struggling startup. The office was cramped, the computers outdated, and the future uncertain. But something about the chaos felt different. Here, ideas mattered more than titles. Instead of focusing only on my assigned tasks, I studied the company's operations, identified inefficiencies, and suggested small improvements. I streamlined a client onboarding process that had been driving customers away. I introduced a simple communication workflow that cut response time in half. Within weeks, clients noticed the difference. Within months, revenue began to climb. The founder started inviting me into strategic meetings. He asked for my perspective on growth, hiring, and customer retention. I wasn't just doing a job anymore. I was helping shape a company. When our client base doubled, he offered me a modest equity stake instead of a raise. It wasn't glamorous, but it was ownership, and for the first time since being fired, I felt in control of my future. The next 2 years passed in a blur of long nights, ambitious goals, and steady progress. We secured investors, expanded into new markets, and hired a team that believed in the mission. I learned more about leadership, negotiation, and resilience than I ever had in my previous job. Every setback became a lesson. Every obstacle became a strategy session. Slowly, the company transformed from survival mode into a serious competitor in the industry. Then one afternoon, our investors presented an unexpected opportunity. A mid-sized company in our sector was nearing bankruptcy and looking for acquisition offers. When they revealed the name, my heart skipped. It was the same company that had eliminated my position to save money. Years earlier, I had walked out of its doors carrying a cardboard box. Now I was sitting at a polished conference table discussing whether we should buy it. I didn't say anything at first. Business is business, I told myself. Numbers matter. Strategy matters. Still, I couldn't ignore the irony. After reviewing financial reports and restructuring possibilities, we realized the acquisition could strengthen our market position significantly. The decision moved forward. On the day of the signing, I walked into the boardroom calm and composed, wearing a suit I once could not afford. The legal teams arranged documents neatly across the table. When the door opened, the former executives entered one by one, and then my old boss stepped inside. He glanced up, saw me seated beside the investors, and froze. Recognition washed across his face, followed by confusion, then disbelief. The same man who had once avoided my eyes now could not look away. We shook hands. I greeted him politely, without bitterness. There was no dramatic speech, no cruel remarks, no attempt to humiliate him. The power had shifted on its own. The deal was signed. Ownership changed hands. The company that once considered me expendable was now part of the organization I helped build. What surprised me most in that moment was not triumph but clarity. I realized success had given me something more valuable than revenge, perspective. Losing that job forced me to grow, to adapt, and to discover strengths I never knew I had. Had I stayed comfortable, I might never have taken the risks that led me here. If you are facing rejection, injustice, or a door slammed shut in your face, remember this. Endings often disguise themselves as failures when they are actually beginnings in disguise. Being underestimated can become your greatest advantage. The world may decide your value in a moment, but only you decide your direction. I walked out of that building a second time, but this time there was no cardboard box in my hands and no weight in my chest. Instead, there was quiet confidence and a simple truth echoing in my mind. Sometimes the greatest revenge is not proving others wrong, it is proving to yourself how far you can rise when everything seems lost.